Welcome, people. Welcome to another edition of Real Talk TV here on AOC Community Media as Cox 15 and LUS here in the city of Lafayette, Louisiana, and my undisclosed location, my home studio. We're doing it at our home studio today. Listen, people, please consider joining AOC Community Media. Please consider joining AOC Community Media. Now, the question you might ask, with the way the media is being handled today by this present administration, now's the time to support this media operation. I'm under no impression that these things, these outlets, whether we're on community-based radio, internet access, public access TV, such as this station, we are under no false impression that nothing can happen to the way we present our programming, because this is supposed to be a free and open media in the United States, but it's under attack by those in the present administration, whether it be on the national level, the president of the United States, the Orange Man, however you want, nickname you want to call him, you know, the same person, I'm going to bring up this graphic and I'm going to go back into the media, but you know how asinine some people are. You know, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, now they're eating the tariffs, and I guess he told Walmart to eat the tariffs. So we got some nutcases running this United States government Project 2025 team. They're winning, but you know, you got crazy, lunatic people winning. So that's a bad sign right there. When you got all these crazies running the country and you got all these nutcases in position of power, you definitely going to have some problems out there, you know. So we're saying right now, people, please consider, and I'm not trying to link AOC to the nutcases, meaning they, you know, put them on the spotlight. They might shut them down. But, you know, if we get shut down today or tomorrow, even if you go on the internet, the people that control the pipes, the networks, Cox Network, T-Mobile, all of these people that provide internet service, these pipelines, they can be shut down too under this present administration. So people, be aware that your freedom of speech, and I heard one of the Trump administration people say this morning on the news that, oh yeah, it's great to be in a land we're fighting, you know, I think it was a Memorial Day interview with Pete Hegseth and that other clown, and they say, yeah, it's great to be, we want to have America the bastion of freedom of speech. Well, freedom of speech is no more because they're putting pressure on CBS, ABC, NBC with lawsuits and all kind of crazy stuff they're alleging. And these companies are capitulating. They're bowing down to them. So people, pay attention. We got nutcases. We got racists running the country right now. Okay? More so. And I want to go to something else, another clip from Jesse Dollemore and talking about Louisiana and the issue with this other clown out here, Mike Johnson, who's supposed to be the Speaker of the House, who basically is a water boy for these crazy people, and he represents the state of Louisiana. Louisiana has the third largest enrollment in SNAP and Medicare and Medicaid people, 1.4 million people. And here's what he had to say, so you don't have to believe me. I'm going to just bring up the clip from the Jesse Dollemore show.
1.4 million people in your home state of Louisiana are on Medicaid. Is it your contention that if any of those Louisianans lose their benefits, it's because they shouldn't have been receiving them?
Yeah. The lies from the Republican Party are just so normalized now. There's so many, they're so frequent, they're so large that when they tell on themselves and slip up and accidentally tell the truth about what they're doing in the middle of their lie, it just kind of all blends together. And that's why I want to talk about this particular clip today. Jake Tapper interviewed the failing, missing the moment Jake Tapper, going on Megyn Kelly's show. Jake Tapper interviewed Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, yesterday about gutting Medicare in this big, beautiful bill. the tax scam bill that they're going to not make permanent, but certainly extend for many years this cash grab from the richest people in this country that are going to going to put us in debt by billions of dollars more while they act like they're fiscal. It's all a whole bunch it's a mess. But there's one particular moment in this long, pretty lengthy interview that I'm only going to play a couple minutes of. And it is Mike Johnson admitting that they're going to cut Medicaid after having just said, we are not cutting Medicaid in this package. He gets asked one question and then admits that they're cutting Medicaid. It is bizarro world in the Republican Party. More than it has normally. I know when I say that, like, it's always a bizarro land. It's always crazy. It's always wacky. It's always liars. Of course it is. But it's getting worse and worse and worse. And just like Donald Trump's corruption, it's public and they don't even care. So it falls on people like us to spread the word. Here is Jake Tapper feigning like he's trying to get to the truth with Mike Johnson, and Mike Johnson being so sloppy with the propaganda that he admits that they're cutting Medicaid.
The CBO found that nearly 8 million Americans will, in fact, lose their insurance coverage because of the changes this bill makes to Medicaid. So how do you reconcile that with what President Trump said?
It's directly in line with what the president said. I've said the same. We are not cutting Medicaid in this package. There's a lot of misinformation out there about this, Jake. The numbers of Americans who are affected are those that are entwined in our work to eliminate fraud, waste, and abuse. And what do I mean by that? You got more than 1.4 million illegal aliens on Medicaid. Medicaid is not intended for non-U.S. citizens. It's intended for the most vulnerable populations of Americans, which is pregnant women and young single mothers, the disabled, the elderly. They are protected in what we're doing because we're preserving the resources for those who need it most. You're talking about 4.8 million able-bodied workers, young men, for example, who are on Medicaid and not working. They are choosing not to work when they can. That is called fraud. They are cheating the system. When you root out those kinds of abuses, you save the resources that are so desperately needed by the people who deserve it and need it most. That's what we're doing, and that's why this is the morality of what we're doing here is precisely right, and it comports with all the public opinion polls. When people ask whether young men, for example, who are able-bodied and have no dependents should be working, everybody says yes, and that's what our package does. So these estimates that you're hearing are accurate, but it's dealing with those numbers of people in the population, and that's going to make preserve the program and strengthen it for those who need it most.
So 1.4 million people in your home state of Louisiana are on Medicaid. More than 800,000 receive SNAP benefits, also known as food stamps. Is it your contention that if any of those Louisianans lose their benefits, it's because they shouldn't have been receiving them because they were committing waste, fraud, or abuse?
Yeah, look, my district, as every district in America, has people who are on the program who shouldn't. And when you're talking about, I keep using this example, a young able-bodied man with no dependents, there's no reason he should not be working. We are the party that supports human dignity, and we find purpose and dignity in our work. It's good for the individuals involved. It's good for their community. It's good for society at large. When you're talking about work requirements, by the way, it's very flexible. It just means that you either work or you volunteer, do something meaningful in your community, or you're in a job or work training program. 20 hours a week. I mean, this is not some huge demand. If you're going to be on the public wagon, you have to do something to help pull it if you're able.
I hope you caught that. And if you didn't, luckily I'm here. Mike Johnson, flatly, plainly, this mighty, righteous man of God who you would never catch lying, right? He says, we are not, and he put extra stank on the not, we are not cutting Medicaid in this package. In fact, he goes on to talk about there's a lot of misinformation out there about this. Jake Tapper asked him a follow-up. 1.4 million people in your home state of Louisiana are on Medicaid. Is it your contention that if any of those Louisianans lose their benefits, it's because they shouldn't have been receiving them? Yes, he says. Mike Johnson says, yeah. Wait a minute. If you're not cutting Medicaid, which would mean nobody's going to lose their benefits, how would some of the 1.4 million people in your state on Medicaid lose their benefits, Mike Johnson? Seems like you're going to be cutting. See, they do this under the guise of fraud, waste, and abuse, and they talk about able-bodied individuals on Medicaid. What that means is it's not some 21-year-old kid at home playing the video games just wanting to live the high life on Medicaid as though that's going to give him some lavish lifestyle. They're talking about people who are caring for the infirmed, for the sick, people who are so gravely ill or deteriorated health-wise that they cannot take care of themselves. So they are a caregiver. These able-bodied individuals who don't have a job. Well, they don't have a job in the sense they don't go down to Starbucks and work, but they have a job in that they're caring for a loved one. Therefore, they need a little bit of a stipend to be taken care of. And if you take them off, if you cut Medicaid to a degree that you can't afford to pay their assistance that they need to help their loved one, you're cutting Medicaid. Just because you use different language doesn't mean it's not a cut, Mike Johnson. And the rest of us know. Americans know. Hopefully, Americans know. And what they're trying to do is gouge the budget, slash the federal government in order to pay for a tax cut that is not paid for. So much so that 5 independent organizations, independent of one another, have scored this, including the Congressional Budget Office. And I've heard numbers up to like $5 billion being added to the national debt just because of this bill. Up to $5 trillion, excuse me. Yeah. $5,000 billion added to the national debt. $5 trillion. Remember, they're deficit hawks. They want to be good stewards of the taxpayer dollars, right? That's what they always say. That's what they said during Donald Trump's first term, and he added nearly $8 trillion in 4 years to the national debt. And half of that was before COVID. Half of that was before the spending that was necessary to save our economy during a pandemic. Donald Trump is irresponsible. He doesn't care about the budget, and either do Republicans. They don't care about the deficit. They don't care about the national debt. They don't care about all the things they say they care about mortgaging our future against our children and all this fake-driet nonsense. They're liars. And once in a while, you get to catch them slipping up and admitting that they are just that, liars. Straight-faced liars. What do you think? I invite you to this conversation.
There you go, people. Nutcases making the case to get rid of or cut off benefits for 1.4 million people. And here's how asinine that argument is. When able-bodied young men, I guess you're referring to black men, you know where that's targeted at. To say black folks are committing fraud on that level. How many young men you know in your household who are listening here on AOC Community Media, Cox 15, Lafayette, New Iberia, Abbeville, St. Martinville, all these other places in between. How many young men know that they're out there trying to game the Medicare people, committing fraud and gaming the Medicare system? Wow, I'm going to get something out by going to the doctor and signing up for Medicaid. That's so asinine. Let me plug this caller in right quick. That is so asinine, these people right here. Hold on, caller. We going to plug you in and get you on the air. Welcome, Sister Khadijah.
Yes, good morning, Brother G. A good program, but we're not hearing you.
Yes, sister. Can you hear me?
We're not hearing you,
Can you hear me?
Brother G.
Yes, now go ahead. I got you. Go ahead.
Your volume went low.
The volume low? Go ahead. I got you now. Go ahead, Sister Khadijah. Go ahead, Sister Khadijah. Hello? Sister Khadijah, are you there? I'll get her back on the line, but like I said, it's so asinine that these people could come up with this whole notion that somebody is trying to game the system. concerning Medicaid. And I mean, there are so many instances that these people are just using that to create another pipeline to the jail system.
11110.
Okay, we'll get it back. I want to go to this other clip. Yes, May 19 was Malcolm X's birthday. All right, Sister Khadijah, can you hear me now? You're coming in loud and clear, Sister Khadijah.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, Sister Khadijah. Go ahead, Sister. Hello? I got you, Sister. Go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead, Sister Khadijah. All right, well, we seem to have a technical problem with the other line, but we still could call the other number, 337-272-8849. Again, 337-272-8849. I mean, this is so crazy that he would do something like that, and the way things are going in the state of Louisiana concerning it. Let me play this Malcolm X birthday speech that was out, and I'll get back.
The so-called land of the free has never been free for you and me. While they chant about liberty, they lock the doors of justice. While they preach peace, they drop bombs. While they parade around the world as saviors, they can't clean the blood off their own streets. Let's speak plain. America is a wolf in sheep's clothing. It smiles in your face while its system presses a knee on your neck. It hands you a ballot in one hand and a bullet in the other. It tells you to pull yourself up by your bootstraps after stealing your boots, your land, your labor, and your name. You see, the trick was never in the chains, it was in the mind. They want you to believe you're free because you can choose between two masters. But freedom doesn't come from choosing your master. Freedom comes when you refuse to be a slave. America masks oppression with false freedom. From the moment we are born, we are fed a narrative, a scripted lullaby of liberty. We are told that this nation is the beacon of hope, the guardian of justice, the home of the free. They fly the flag high and sing songs of glory, all while denying millions the very rights they claim to protect. But look deeper, and you'll see the contradiction written in blood and bricks. You'll see a nation built on broken backs.
Okay, people, we're back. We have Sister Khadijah on the line. Good morning, Sister Khadijah.
Hi, good morning, Brother J. That's powerful. What you're doing. You got Bubba Malcolm X. What he said back then is still prevalent today.
Yeah, his birthday was May 19, and I want to play that clip because we missed out actually acknowledging it on the other platform you and I do.
Well, let me. Is it okay if I finish hearing what he's saying? Oh, you didn't finish.
Yeah, I mean, we could put it back on after you got any more comments.
Please do. Yes, I wanted to mention that this past weekend at the Blackham Coliseum, you had the Granddaddy Zydeco Festival.
Zydeco Extravaganza, yes.
Okay, and spectacular artists.
Right.
Your Keith, Frank, Tucker, Lil Nick, Big Nate, Leon Shavers, Jeffrey Broussard, Gino Delafont, Rusty Step Rito, and I want to congratulate them. However, the promoters did not include any of the women. I mean, if y'all servicing nothing but the women and we women, sisters, we don't have a problem paying our money to go see men perform, but you got to open up the avenue to make sure that, are you going to have one or two sisters in there? It doesn't make any sense. I mean, Yadana Angia, been there since before. I mean, she's paid her debt to society when it comes down to such a soulful, beautiful voice of Zydeco that she have. Why wouldn't you have Donna Angel on? Why wouldn't you have Rosie Ledette, Lisa, Connie Garrett, uh, Big Sugar, Cami Cole? All of these women can sing.
Right.
All of these women, they would like to be on a lineup like that, because I interviewed Donna.
Right.
I interviewed Rosie Ledette. I interviewed several other good sisters that can sing.
Mm-hmm.
And come to and come to find out, they told me specifically, well, it's the promoters that has to invite us. So I'm not exactly sure who the promoter was.
Well, I know for long as I've been knowing, it's been the Craven brothers out there, or the Craven family out there, and
it wasn't the DJ Troy D.
Oh well, I don't know anything about that young man.
Okay, because I know I've seen him on the lineup.
Well, I'm talking about the promoters of the Cravens family.
Oh, okay, all right. So I need to call Cravens.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Well, I'm definitely gonna call.
You're definitely familiar with him from his political days. Craven's family, the first family of political influence in the state of Louisiana. But the dynamics have been changing now, and it's other people used to be in, now they out. So there are other people, But again, you're right. Be inclusive. If people, somehow politicians talk diversity, inclusiveness, well, women should be included,
Right. But we also have to remember there's enough for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's enough for everyone.
Right.
Louisiana is this tourist state and everything. People want to go there. Y'all need to include the women.
Mm-hmm. Okay. It's a good comment.
Thank you, brother G.
Hopefully, Sister Khadijah, will you be on your future show tomorrow, the Open Line Radio Show on 88.3 FM?
All right.
Okay. I just thought you was going to acknowledge that. All right.
Oh yes, sir.
Hopefully, we had. Let's say on the show we go open up with some issues concerning the jailbreak in New Orleans. But we supposed to have as a special guest, and if it doesn't come to pass, we don't worry about it. That's the way we are.
Well,
Cleo Fields to give us an update on what's going on in the Congress. So we definitely want to hear from everybody, but yet we want to be able to take everybody to task on the Open Line Radio Show.
Brother G, I think we need to open up.
Yeah.
With Donna Angel.
Okay.
I want a man like Buzu. Yeah. Or Rosie Ledette, Connie Garrett. We need to open up and play these sisters' songs.
Okay.
Cami Cole, Big Sugar, Lisa. These are fantastic singers. Brothers, wake up. You need to include the women in there. That should not be just all men. And women, we have to take our part. We need to call whoever we need to call. Brother J, you say Cravens? We need to call them and let them know. Well, how about next year we have some women line up in there. Let's do it. Let's start preparing for that for next year.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Sister Khadijah. All right, you just heard from Sister Khadijah. You could catch it tomorrow on the Open Line Radio Show. And again, everything is depend on the gremlins in the line, meaning we might, we've been having severe weather in South Louisiana lately, because we don't have no accurate prediction of what's coming. We got a hurricane season coming. The people in the administration, the federal level, they're getting rid of all the agencies that provide that information, especially Louisiana, where we have hurricanes, we have issues with thunderstorms and flooding and so forth. But yet, the MAGA agenda, which has trickled down to the local level, the Blake Miguez in the Louisiana State Senate and others on that level are co-signing to what that MAGA agenda is doing on the federal level. So you cutting funding for NOAA, the National Oceanic and Administration that deals with weather forecasting, or the National Hurricane Center and other vital scientific operations, if you're cutting funding for that, well, people, anything could come down the pike, so just pay attention to what's going on this year when it comes to those type of offices and platforms that we get our information from. Again, I want to also go back. We're going to go back to Malcolm's speech, and maybe we could get something out of Brother Malcolm. His birthday was on May 19, and we just want to acknowledge that. Juneteenth is also coming up. People pay attention to that thing. Let's see if they could try to cancel Juneteenth, since they're out there on that canceling black tour. That's what Project 2025 is, people. The main architect of Project 2025, Mr. Kevin Roberts, he's one of those individuals. So let me get this phone call. So, we unscript this show, Caller?
Yes, good morning, Brother Jay.
Good morning, caller.
And good morning to your listeners. Like always, you're always having a dynamite show.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And, we're talking about people that's in office, people that's in politics, that's supposed to be for the people, that we vote for, supposed to be to help us out.
Right.
But these people don't care about Medicare, Medicaid, anything like this here that's going to be given to the people, that's in need. They only care about themselves and what they got. They got top of the line insurance. They got top of the line medical assistance and things like this here. So they don't care about the people that's behind them or the people that help them in office. Maybe the people that help them in office was rich. They don't need these things, But people shouldn't go in office to delete things that's helping the people.
Right.
It seems like they get in office to destroy our country, the United States, make America great again. Project 2025. All these things is against the people of the United States. We Malcolm talked about war. They create the war, and then they take these billions of dollars of our tax dollars and send them back overseas to help fix what they destroyed. And those are the kind of things that we have to wake up and understand what's really going on. Donald Trump trying to cut out education. Why he want to attack education? Because he's uneducated. His family is uneducated, and they might have got where they got, not going to colleges and universities and things like this here, So they want to make it hard for the people that's living in the United States. And the only reason why, as far as I'm concerned, he's doing it is because he wants to be a dictator. If he take away all these things that we're supposed to have, shame on us, So we're going to have to depend on him. I hope it never comes in my life that I got to depend on what Donald Trump is doing. And Brother Jay, you're always keeping up the best scenario and the best TV shows that we could understand what's really going on.
And Brother
Don't
Wallace,
worry about what...
my concern...
Yes, sir.
I think we have an echo. Let me turn my stuff down a little bit. Brother Wallace, the concern is this. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I could hear you got a little echo, but I could hear you.
Yeah, the concern is this, Brother Wallace, that Louisiana has 1.4 million people on government assistance when it comes to the state assistance through federal fund programs, right? 1.4. how much of that, and you see they don't tell you when they cut the, when Mike Johnson's talking about, well, people might be committing fraud and all this other stuff. You know what? That's not even that program what they talking about, because they're no able-bodied young men. How many young men you know running around say, I want to get on Medicaid? You have to basically force somebody, you have to be basically sick to get on Medicaid in the state of Louisiana. So that lie right there, that's a main lie. Lying and playing, like you said, playing in our face with lies. Well, most of the people that benefited from Medicaid and Medicare and those type of benefits are people who are infirm. And the program that help take care of those people who are infirm, that's mostly the caretaker program. How many companies in the state of Louisiana who have home? How many black? There are some large ones in Lafayette. You know, you got Angel, Ageless Care. You got other companies out here, and you got Home Instead. How many of those companies going to lose funding to take care of those elderly people or family members that are sick? How many nursing homes get some supplemental funds from that program? A lot of them. Even going back to indirectly related to people who get services from SMILE, Community Action Agency, or the St. Mary Community Action Agency, the two of the largest in the South. All of these things has a domino effect, so when you see one agency, one entity going down, or don't have the funding, all of that going to affect those other agencies. Our politicians, Brother Wallace, are not telling us the truth, not telling us what could happen if these things come to pass. If the Senate don't block it, all bets are off. All of these companies, all of these people who invested in buying new homes because they got jobs with these home health companies, who bought new cars after the tax season, all of these people stand to lose their funding. And it's almost like we're like chicken little, the sky's falling. We always saying and talking about things months ahead of time, and before you know it, it comes down the pipe. We talked about that year before last on some of the platforms, and now it's almost coming into being. So people, ask your politicians in Baton Rouge, ask your black caucus, ask your white representative in your neighborhood, ask your congressman, Clay Higgins, ask your other congressman, Cleo Fields or Troy Carter. Ask them where we stand. Will we lose funding for our elderly people that we have to take care of? You know, even the other agencies that give heating assistance, lighting assistance, paying your light bill. All of these people stand to lose funding, Brother Wiles.
Well, I understand what you're saying, Brother Jay, and you're exactly right. You know, but you got a lot of people that worked on the slave wages, you know, and they wasn't getting good Social Security at the time. They wasn't good paying big money into Medicare. If you're talking about is fraud in the Medicare or Medicaid system, go after the ones that's doing the fraud, not the one that's not doing the fraud and need.
Well, that's a smoke screen, Brother Wallace, because we know that some of those companies, those bigger companies, some of those bigger companies are the ones who might be engaged in some of these Caucasian-owned companies that subcontract with these. That's the ones, and that's Mike Johnson's friend. That's his contributors. All of these people. That's who he should be looking at. And I don't think it's fraud. I think they want to take that money and give it to the billionaire like Elon Musk. And that's what basically the argument been in Congress, that you're going to have these tax breaks for the rich, who are going to pay less tax, and the poor people could be put upon their back, and the funding could be taken away from the poor people. So that's what it is. And people don't have to pay attention. They can continue to go to the, and like Sister Khadijah in the other segment, continue to go run to the Zydeco extravaganza, not because I'm dissing the Zydeco extravaganza, but we always have the stuff that makes us not think about the real bad stuff that's going on in the state of Louisiana. We quick to party, we quick to put our boots on the ground, not to vote, not to be involved, but just to go run to another party. You know, and that's what we live for. We live to party for the weekend, but we don't know what's really going on in Baton Rouge. These white supremacists, these corrupt individuals have taken over, and people like Jeff Landry is hell-bent on keeping the black community behind the 8 ball. Only a few going to make it. I mean, it's factual. It's playing itself out. They're building more jails. Louisiana is the jail capital of the world. They're putting all kind of detention centers. They're giving funding to these private prison industries to build more jails. They want to lock up all the juveniles. What that tells you, Louisiana is consistently last in every conceivable metric of statistical category. We are always last. Why is that?
Well, you know, Brother Jay, I live in an area where I see a lot of homeless people. Mm-hmm. I see a lot of people that's trying to struggle day by day. And guess what? I just don't see black people out there. I see white women. I see white men. You know, I don't see a whole lot of Hispanic, you know, homeless and things like this here, because it seems like in their culture, they know how to come together and live together, you know. But we as people of the United States, we was raised under their rules, we was forced under their rules, and it seems like we don't know how to come out from under their rules.
Right.
You know, God didn't create us to be puppets. He created us to be men and women. But it seems like the head of the snake, right, you understand me, is always biting and spreading venom. You know, and that's the part that we better learn what really needs to go on. You know, we take our money and we rush to give it to the white folks. We get paid, we take our paycheck and we rush to give it to corporation, and corporation is the one that's hurting us. We pay their taxes, and then they turn around and get taxes out of us anyway. So, you know,
right.
You know, sometimes it gets hard for me to explain to people what's going on. It gets hard for people to hear what you're saying to what's going on, but it seems like everybody's okay with what's going on.
Right.
Now, they'll talk about it among themselves, but to say, like they say, put your boots on the ground, they'd rather dance to putting your boots on the ground instead of put your boot on the ground and start fighting for your equal right. Equal rights, you know. We got rights like everybody else.
Right.
So that's it, Brother Jay.
All right, brother.
So you keep on doing what you're doing, man, and don't worry about who's talking behind your back, because if they're talking behind your back,
I never did, my brother. I never did. A lot of people don't like to deal with facts.
But they're in a good position to kiss your booty.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to holler back, Brother Jay.
All right, my brother. All right.
All right. Peace out.
All right. Peace out. Peace out. That's Brother Wallace. You could hear him every Friday at 10 o'clock, 10 to 12, 2-hour show. Him and Brother Oscar Narcisse, shout out to Brother Oscar Narcisse, and Brother Mike Brown, a new addition to the show. They've been on for the last couple of 2 months. So doing some great things as what we say, having informative media, touching all different subject matters. That's the whole point. Also, you could listen to and view Mr. Kevin on Defending Our Community every Thursday at 5:30. You want a provocative, fact-filled show? I mean, he gonna bring it to you straight up. I want to show this for Brother Wallace one more time, Brother Wallace. This is the idiots that's running the United States and on behalf of Project 2025. Remember, Trump is not the most powerful person. He actually is really not the problem. He's the figurehead. He's the man that rubber stamp everything. It's the Project 2025. It's Brandon Carr, who's running the FTC now. And it's Kevin Roberts and Russell Gold That's the top three racist, Nazi-type like people who are running the United States government and putting people in place, putting the face of Nazism in the form of Stephen Miller, who's trying to bring Nazi-like governance to the United States in a sense. And it's not so much that I'm so much worried about that. It's what they could implement against people of color. That's the whole point. And actually it proved that it's against people of color. Like they say, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, now they're eating the tariffs. Because didn't Trump told Walmart to eat the tariffs? He's got this strange fascination with something getting eaten. Again, I think he's waiting on a McDonald's hamburger to say they're eating the burgers. Yeah, that's the next thing. I also want to talk about something else that is going on in this area. Let's see, I can pull it up. Trump actually, they say Trump, I can say it's the Project 2025 board running everything. And they're running the board, and they done turned the ICE apparatus, immigration police, they done turned them into the brown shirts. You remember the Nazis? Go and study World War II, pre-World War II. They had the brown shirts. They were the enforcement unit for Hitler before he really came to power and took over as a dictator. Well, the ICE units, the ICE police can arrest anybody for anything, anywhere, any place. And they're not even listening to the federal judge. They're not listening to legal orders that's being handed down. So now the Laotian community in New Iberia and other places in South Louisiana are really worried. People who have been there, I know that young man, I think he ran for city council in New Iberia. He has always been involved in the community. He is worried about his future and his people's future. And there's an article in the Louisiana Illuminator that talks about it. They're not just rounding up. The agents thought they were going to get a pass too, but I think not. And the Latinos, the Mexicans, the Cubans, they thought they were going to get a pass on Trump, the ones who supported Trump. Well, I got news for you. You F around and found out, like they say, So check out that article in the Louisiana Illuminator. We're going to be talking about it more in the near future. I want to go back to Brother Malcolm X. Like I said, it was his birthday, and I want to bring up his speech that he gave. It's a compilation of different speech, and it's timely. It actually is made for these times right now. So give it a listen.
And silenced voices dressing itself in the language of freedom while practicing the politics of control. The lie is layered. It's not just spoken in words, it's baked into the systems, into the education that whitewashes history, into the courts that criminalize poverty, into the prisons that cage generations, into the neighborhoods redlined and resources denied. They teach you about democracy in textbooks, while erasing the democracy of your voice. They hand you the Constitution, but deny you the dignity it claims to guarantee. They speak of equality, yet lock opportunity behind gates built on color lines and class walls. This is not freedom. This is the illusion of freedom, carefully crafted, fiercely protected. The kind of freedom where you can speak but not be heard, where you can vote but not change anything, where you can climb but only so far as the ceiling allows. The kind of freedom that applauds your resilience while perpetuating the very systems that require it. That smiles at your struggle but refuses to dismantle the struggle itself. That says, you're equal now, while keeping one foot on your neck and the other on the gas. You are told you're free because you can buy a house, get a job, speak your mind. But what is the worth of those things if the house is in a neighborhood designed to trap you? The job is a dead end with no ladder, and the words you speak fall on deaf ears unless they make someone else comfortable. What is freedom if it's limited by your skin, your name, your zip code, your accent, or your ancestors? That is not freedom. It's permission, temporary, fragile permission dressed up as liberty. They say you have rights, but rights with conditions are not rights at all. They can surveil you, stop you, search you, suspect you, all without cause, because of how you look or where you walk. They can shoot you and then put you on trial after death. They can call you a threat just for breathing too loudly in a space that wasn't meant for you. This is the reality for millions who are told they are free, yet are treated like fugitives in their own country. And all of this is justified with the same tired slogans about law and order, about keeping the peace, about national security. But whose law? Whose order? Whose peace? A peace that comes at the cost of silence is not peace. It's submission. A law that protects the powerful and punishes the poor is not law. It's tyranny. And a nation that calls itself free while building cages and borders and surveillance states is not free. It's just well disguised. We are not fighting for new rights. We are demanding the rights we were promised. Rights that were inked into paper but never lived in practice. Because the same system that wrote, all men are created equal, wrote laws to keep men unequal. The same hands that drafted liberty passed chains from plantation to prison. The same voices that spoke of freedom denied it to women, to immigrants, to indigenous people, to black people. That contradiction isn't accidental, it's foundational. They export this image of freedom to the world while keeping millions domestically under control. They bomb other countries in the name of liberty while criminalizing protest at home. They speak of human rights violations abroad while ignoring hunger, homelessness, and brutality in their own streets. That's not freedom. It's hypocrisy with a flag wrapped around it. It's a branding campaign, not a reality. And the saddest part is how many believe it. People are trained to celebrate the symbols while ignoring the substance. The fireworks, the parades, the pledges, all distractions. What is a national anthem if you're not allowed to stand with dignity? What is a holiday if it celebrates a history that omitted your ancestors? What is patriotism if it demands you stay silent about your pain? The narrative is powerful. It keeps people complacent. It tells them they're free, and if they're struggling, it must be their fault. It turns systemic oppression into personal failure. It sells the myth of meritocracy while ignoring the mechanisms of exclusion. If you're not making it, they say, it's because you didn't work hard enough, not because the deck was stacked. That narrative is a weapon. It is the invisible chain. It keeps people believing that their freedom is real even as they're boxed into economic ghettos, political irrelevance, and cultural erasure. So when we speak up, when we question the system, when we call out the lie, they say we're ungrateful. They say we hate the country. But to love a thing is to hold it accountable. And to hate a lie is not to hate the place. It's to hate the mask it wears. We do not hate America. We hate the deception, the hypocrisy, the exploitation that hides beneath its ideals. We are not against freedom. We are against the theft of it, the dilution of it, the redefinition of it into something hollow and meaningless. What we want is real freedom, not symbolic, not partial, not granted by permission or revoked by discomfort. Freedom that exists whether you're rich or poor, black or white, native or newcomer. Freedom that protects you when you resist, not just when you comply. Freedom that doesn't require you to shrink, to bow, to bend, to apologize for existing. Justice must be demanded, not requested. There comes a time when a people must stop asking politely for what is already theirs. You cannot whisper for justice in a system that only responds to the sound of disruption. You cannot appeal to the conscience of an institution that never had one. If justice were something that could be handed out like a favor, it would not be justice. It would be charity. And we are not beggars. We are not here with our heads bowed and our hands out, waiting for the same system that broke us to decide we're finally worthy of repair. For too long we've been told to be patient. They told us progress takes time. They told us to wait for the courts, the Congress, the commissions. They told us to trust the process, to go through the proper channels, to work within the framework. But when the framework is built to deny you, working within it only reinforces your own oppression. Justice does not come from politely following rules made to exclude you. Justice comes when you refuse to obey the rules that were written to keep you down. If a house is built on a crooked foundation, it does not matter how many times you repaint the walls. The rot is in the structure. And if the justice system is built on a foundation of inequality, then no reform, no new slogan, no new face in the courtroom will change what it is. You cannot ask a corrupt system to correct itself. It must be challenged. It must be shaken. And when it refuses to bend, it must be broken and rebuilt with new hands and new hearts. We are told to have faith in the system. But what kind of faith is that? Faith in a police force that kills and gets medals. Faith in a court that jails the poor and frees the powerful. Faith in a prison that profits off of bodies in cages. That is not faith. That is fantasy. Faith without evidence is delusion. And the evidence shows time and time again that justice in this country is not blind. It sees color. It sees class. It sees power. And it bows before them. The history of this nation is not one of justice being freely given. It is one of people fighting, bleeding, and dying to carve out justice where none existed. Every right we now call basic had to be torn from the hands of those who held them tight. They didn't give women the right to vote. They fought for it. They didn't give workers the right to organize. They struck for it. They didn't give black people civil rights. They marched, resisted, and refused to be silent until it could no longer be denied. Nothing in this country worth having was ever given willingly. It was demanded. Demanding justice is not about asking nicely. It is not about being civil when you are being crushed. Civility is a weapon they use to silence the oppressed. They tell you not to shout, not to march, not to disrupt, because it makes them uncomfortable. But the truth is, justice is always uncomfortable for those who benefit from injustice. It is meant to be. You cannot make the powerful feel safe while you demand they stop abusing their power. You cannot make the oppressor feel at ease while you demand the end of oppression. This is not a plea. This is a declaration. A declaration that we are done waiting, done hoping, done trusting in systems that have shown us nothing but contempt. We are not asking for equality anymore. We are demanding it. And the difference is everything. Asking implies that we need permission. Demanding means we are taking what is already ours. It means we no longer accept the excuses, the delays, the endless cycles of promises followed by betrayal. They love to quote laws and rules when we rise up. They tell us to go through the system. But when we do, the system locks us out. When we vote, they gerrymander. When we protest, they criminalize. When we organize, they infiltrate. When we build movements, they surveil and sabotage. So what system are we supposed to trust? What path are we supposed to take? The only path left is the one we blaze ourselves, with courage, with conviction, with the fire of generations who refuse to be silenced. Justice cannot be postponed. Delayed justice is denied justice. Every day a child grows up in poverty because of racist policies. Every day someone is incarcerated for a crime of survival. Every day a mother buries her child while the killer walks free. That is a day justice failed. And those failures are not accidents. They are built-in features of a system that was never designed to protect everyone equally. You cannot ask such a system to do what it was never meant to do. You must confront it, challenge it, replace it. We must reject the myth that justice is a favor to be granted by those in power. We must stop pretending that power concedes anything without demand. You do not win freedom through patience. You do not win dignity through compliance. You win through resistance, through refusal, through the unshakable belief that you are worthy of the justice they refuse to give you, and the willingness to fight for it until they have no choice but to yield. We must be relentless in our demand, unapologetic in our stance. There is no such thing as a convenient revolution. There is no such thing as comfortable justice. The moment you begin to fight for it, the world will push back. The system will react, and that reaction is proof that your demand is real. They would not resist if your demand had no power. They resist because they know once you stop asking and start demanding, the balance begins to shift. We must teach our children that justice is not something they wait for. It is something they build. We must teach our communities that their voices matter more than the laws written without their consent. We must teach each other that no one is coming to save us, and that we are enough to save ourselves. Justice is not a dream. It is not a hope. It is a right. And rights are never given freely. They are taken boldly. Truth is not hate. It threatens the guilty. In every era, the powerful have tried to twist the truth into something ugly, something dangerous, something to be feared. Not because the truth is violent, but because it unmasks the violence they have tried to hide. The truth does not burn buildings or break bones. It exposes the systems that do. It shines a light where they want only shadows. And so, when the oppressed speak the truth, when they name the injustice they've endured, when they lay bare the brutality behind the smile of the system, the response is not reason, it's accusation. You're spreading hate, they say. But what they really mean is, you're making me uncomfortable. They want us silent, not because our words are false, but because they are too real. They sting. They disrupt the narrative. They call out the lie that everything is fine, that the problem is solved, that the country has moved on. The ones who have the most to lose from the truth will always label it dangerous. But the danger is not in the words, it's in what the words reveal. When a child speaks of hunger in the richest country on earth, that is not hate, that is truth. When a woman names the harassment she faces at work or on the street, that is not bitterness, it is truth. When a black man points to the long line of bodies left behind by police, that is not divisiveness, it is truth. When an immigrant speaks about being treated as less than human, that is not exaggeration, it is truth. And the truth, when spoken boldly, cuts deeper than any weapon. It exposes the cracks in the foundation. It reveals the sickness beneath the surface. But truth-telling is a dangerous act in a nation built on denial. Denial is comfortable. It allows people to sleep at night. It lets them pretend that the suffering of others is isolated, deserved, or imagined. The truth shatters that illusion. It demands accountability. And accountability is what the guilty fear most. Because once people know the truth, they start to ask questions. Once they ask questions, they start to challenge. And once they challenge, the balance of power begins to shift. This is why truth-tellers are always attacked first. They're called radicals, agitators, troublemakers. Their reputations are dragged, their motives are questioned. Their voices are drowned out. Not because they lie, but because they won't. And in a system built on lies, truth is the loudest threat. It is the one thing they can't control. They can control laws. They can control the media. They can control money. But they cannot control truth. Once it has been spoken and heard, it has a life of its own. And so they twist the language. They take the truth and frame it as hate. They tell the oppressed to be quiet, to calm down, to be more respectful. They say the way you talk about injustice is more upsetting than the injustice itself. They don't want to hear about the wound because it reminds them of who inflicted it. They don't want to hear about the pain because it threatens their comfort. They don't want to hear about the problem because then they might have to become part of the solution. But the truth does not owe anyone comfort. It is not here to be gentle. It is not here to make the privileged feel good about themselves. The truth is sharp. It cuts away illusion. It is not hate to say the system is broken. It is not hate to say racism is alive and well. It is not hate to say poverty is a product of policy, not personal failure. It is not hate to say police brutality is not a series of accidents, but a pattern. It is not hate to say that the justice system has never been just for everyone. That is truth. And truth does not care about feelings. It does not pause for politeness. It does not seek permission. It exists whether we like it or not. What matters is whether we are brave enough to speak it. Because every time the truth is silenced, the lie grows stronger. Every time someone bites their tongue to avoid offense, the system wins. But when people speak up, when they name what has been hidden, when they tell their story even when their voice shakes, that is when change becomes possible. We must not confuse peace with quiet. Silence is not unity. Stillness is not progress. Just because something is not being talked about does not mean it has been solved. In fact, the silence is often the loudest evidence that the problem remains. It lingers in the background, unchallenged, uninterrupted, festering. The truth breaks that silence. It forces a reckoning. And for the guilty, for those who benefit from the silence, that reckoning feels like an attack. But it is not hate to hold people accountable. It is not hate to refuse to pretend. It is not hate to point out that the emperor has no clothes. It is not hate to say we deserve better. It is not hate to say we remember the names they want us to forget. It is not hate to demand justice where there has been none. In fact, it is love, love for truth, love for justice, love for a future where we are not bound by the lies of the past. Speaking the truth is an act of resistance, but also an act of love. It is a refusal to accept the unacceptable, a refusal to normalize cruelty, a refusal to bow to fear. The louder we speak the truth, the more desperate they become to silence us. That desperation is the proof. They know that the moment enough people hear it, believe it, and act on it, the system that protects them begins to tremble, because a system built on lies cannot withstand the truth. It will crack, then crumble, then collapse, not because of hate, but because the truth has finally arrived. Awakening leads to uprising and real change. There comes a moment when the fog lifts, when the lies that have wrapped themselves around our minds begin to unravel, and we start to see the world not as they tell us it is, but as it really is. That moment is awakening. It's not gentle. It doesn't feel good. It burns. It stings. Because truth always does when you've been kept asleep by comfort, distraction, and fear. But that awakening is the beginning of everything. It is the spark that turns into fire. The moment when a people realize that their suffering is not natural, that their condition is not fate, that the pain they carry was placed on them deliberately and maintained by design. They don't want you awake. They prefer you sedated, entertained, confused. They will flood your senses with noise, your screens with nonsense, your schools with sanitized history. Because the minute you wake up, the minute you begin to question what you've been taught, you become a threat to their control. An awakened mind cannot be governed by deception. It cannot be manipulated with false hope or pacified with empty gestures. It begins to ask, why is the world like this? Who benefits? Who suffers? And who's responsible? That is the beginning of the uprising, not always with fists or fire, but first in the mind. The revolution does not start in the streets. It starts when someone refuses to believe the lie. It starts when someone looks at their conditions and says, this is not all there is. This is not what I was born for. And once one person says it, another begins to say it, and another. And soon, what was once unthinkable becomes undeniable. That is why they fear awakening more than anything. Because once people see the bars of the cage, they will start to test them. Once they feel the walls, they will look for a way out.
There you go, people. We're back here at Real Talk Television. I wanted to play that speech. I know it's kind of long and it's no breaks in there. That is basically a compilation of his speeches put together. Hopefully, all of these things that he said in the speech would be attributed to him saying it won't be no AI voices, because it's something I got off the net, because you could get anything off the net, but he did. If you listen to his past speech, all those words were exactly what he said in some of his past speech. And his birthday, again, was May 19th, and we want to acknowledge that. And this is the thing. about history and history repeating itself. The question is, will the MAGA agenda allow us to celebrate the life of Malcolm X? Will the MAGA agenda allow us to celebrate Juneteenth? And my thing is this: Trump and the administration, even the word white supremacy, it's not. It's only as powerful as the people who have the power to implement it. Would it be wrong for any one of our local elected black officials who beg you to vote for them because they're black and that's a black district, whether it's on the state, local, and national level? Would it be something of an insult if any one of them, let's say in the Louisiana, the Lafayette area and the 5 parish area around this area that AOC serves, if one of the black elected officials would go to, let's say, and I've been saying it on the other platform, Mayor Blanco Boley, and ask her, Mayor, President, do you support the agenda of the National Party of the Republicans, the Project 2025 people, Donald Trump, Clay Higgins, Jeff Landry, Blake Miguel? Do you support them, Mayor Blanco? We need to know in the black community who you support. In other words, who you with. You know the saying down south. The problem is this. We could say, Brother Jay, well, she's working with me. I'm an individual. She's working with me to try to get some things done. But the question is, but if the lower leg that's upholding the ladder of white supremacy is your mayor president, she's not going to diss them or put them down for all the wrong stuff that they're doing, blatantly in-your-face stuff. If she's not going to put them down, where she's with them. And if you got programs enacted against your community as a black person, she's not saying where she stands. In other words, where she stands. Because let's say if I'm supporting, use President Obama. If I'm supporting President Obama and Jeff Landry asked me, who you support? The governor, me, Jeff Landry, or you support the Obama administration? You know the reaction what you'll get. So it's the same logical thing. Black folk could never show their allegiance to their own people without having to say, we can't ask the people that implement the bad, programs or part of the platforms that's going against your community. We can never ask them how they stand. It probably, the elected officials might get so angry and mad at me because I'm asking the mayor president where she stands. They might get mad at me, or anyone else would ask that question, where you stand, Mayor President? Where you stand, Mayor of New Iberia, Freddie DeCourt? Where you stand, Blake Miguel? Who you stand with, the MAGA agenda, or you stand with the people who you're supposed to be serving? So we have a right to ask that question. And the thing is, with an example of Mayor Blanco, black folks helped carry her over the line to get elected. So black folks have a right to ask you where you stand. Even if you say you're standing for everybody, the question is, if you're upholding that Republican Party or that MAGA agenda, because they're not even the basic Republicans, they're some different type of people. There's some crazy white supremacist stuff. I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to give you a prime example right now. Let me read this article. It's from CNN Politics. It says, the Trump administration creates a new style guide banning the use of rhetoric referring to the threat of white supremacy. Basically, the headline saying they don't want you to use the word white supremacy in government. You can't say that. You can't put no type of information using the word white supremacy. How crazy is that? When you got suppose you have a Klan group within government, a Klan group or white supremacist terrorists trying to do something. So you can't even use those words? This is crazy. And what's going to happen, and you know it with them, it will filter down to regular people. You won't be able to say it in the media. They're going to limit your free speech. You can't call nobody a white supremacist because you're breaking the law. This is so crazy and asinine The only people who are going to have freedom of speech are the people in power. They're free to say anything they want. You know, I want to go to this other clip. And again, Brother Malcolm X's birthday was May the 19th. And we're going to go to this clip right here. Let's see where. Can we pull it up? We're trying to pull it up. And again, people, thank you for tuning in. Be patient. One-man show. We were supposed to have Brother Keith on today. Apparently he didn't make it again. But that's okay. That's okay. I want to play this part right here about what recently happened with the MAGA people in power and how they took every protection supposedly by United States Department of Justice to do away with protecting you from rogue police and law enforcement agencies. Let me just let Roland explain it to you.
We told you this was going to happen if Donald Trump was allowed back in the Oval Office. And where are all of those people who were talking about don't vote, you're not going to get anything for it? Well, guess what? Today, Donald Trump, the twice impeached, criminally convicted felon conman in chief, his Department of Justice announced that they were dismissing several settlements, consent decrees with police departments who did harm to black people. A stunning decision, but it was one that we told you was going to happen. It was one that Project 2025 called to happen. How many times have we told you? Donald Trump ran and said he wanted to give police 100% immunity. But what he did today is no different than what he did 4 years ago. Remember, first time he was there, what did he do? His Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, his second Attorney General, Bill Barr, said they were pulling back on consent decrees because they were hurting the morale of cops. And here we sit, 4 days from the 5th anniversary of the murder of George Floyd. And Donald Trump has said consent decrees with the city of Minneapolis and the police department, gone. Louisville, Breonna Taylor, gunned down by cops, gone. In several other cities. This is what this man thinks. He does not support victims. He does not support black people. He supports rogue, thug, killer cops. Let's talk about this. We got a full panel to break it all down. Reddit Hudson is a co-founder of the National Coalition of Law Enforcement for Justice, Reform, and Accountability. Tamika Mallory, co-founder of Until Freedom. Adante Pointer, civil rights attorney. And also Chief Mitchell Davis, second national vice president for the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives. Glad to have all of you here. Plus, I have my panel coming on after this as well. Reddit, I'm going to start with you. This man does not care about police accountability. He wants cops who beat people, who kill people. He wants to make it. He pardoned, convicted in Washington, D.C. for causing the death after chasing a black man. He pardoned them. This is who this man is. He does not care about citizens. He cares about making cops feel good. And he said in the campaign, he wants to give them 100% immunity. That's what this is.
Well, he's gone further than that. If you look at his last executive order, I got it right here. Strengthening and unleashing America's law enforcement to pursue criminals and protect the innocent. He is also planning to use his Department of Justice to defend officers in cases of abused police authority. And he's advertised that as really, I think, incentive for them to disregard any of the progress that's been made in the last 10 or so years relative to police accountability. He is fulfilling his promise to his base to continue walking this country backwards in time to a place where, police immunity was a given. And I think we really need to be extremely vigilant, especially those of us who are anywhere in or around law enforcement, relative to ensuring the rights of our people being protected in the current environment that exists right now, because it's a lawless environment. As you pointed out in your opening, here's a man who's a convicted felon. Talk about cracking down on crime. Does that include rape and fraud, the things that he's been convicted of? We got some work to do.
Dante, I have said this since January 20th, really since November 5th, that if you are a civil rights attorney, you have looked to the Department of Justice, even under Republican presidents, to do their job. This civil rights division, you might as well lose their phone number, because if there's a case where a cop has beat somebody, has injured somebody, maimed someone, or killed them, this DOJ, they're not even going to answer your phone.
They're not going to answer your phone. They're not going to respond to your email. But what they may do is celebrate whatever happened to you in their boardrooms and in their offices if you're a victim of police abuse. Because remember, when he was campaigning for this presidency, he said he wanted the days to go back to where an officer, if he was dealing with somebody, taking them into custody and putting them in a patrol car, it was okay if you slapped them up against the head or bumped them up against the patrol car. He felt that there are too many restraints on law enforcement to behave decently and in respect to the Constitution, in particular, as we know, as it relates to our community. So he is a threat in chief, if you will, to the Constitution and to our own personal rights and dignity. And we have to be very vigilant and be prepared to fight back, because the DOJ is not coming to anyone's rescue at this point.
Tamika, you and others with Until Freedom, local activists, other national groups, spent a lot of time in Louisville, Kentucky, fighting for the family of Breonna Taylor, what happened to her. There were a settlement with the city that also was a part of that, where changes made to their local laws. And we saw the DOJ pursue cases against officers involved. It has to be disheartening to look at all of that work, whether it's Minneapolis, whether it's Louisville, and several other cities, and to watch this thug just wipe that away and act like federal judges did not approve these consent decrees. Act like there were no patterns and practices investigation that uncovered massive amount of abuse by cops. Tamika, I think you're on mute.
I'm sorry.
There we go.
Saying
there we go.
I'm headed to the airport, and but I wanted to be on with you, Roland, and you said it properly, that it is very disheartening, extremely painful and frustrating. And today, my heart hurts for Breonna Taylor's family, for George Floyd's family, and for countless families who have lost their children, and their children have become martyrs, that we have worked so hard to use their stories as a way to get these consent decrees in the first place. And I think we have to center their voices in the midst of this as we talk about what today this letdown is. Now, you said at the beginning, Roland, when you first started, that we already knew what would happen because we watched the transition from President Obama to Donald Trump in his first presidency, and they did the same thing. William Barr, his attorney general at that time. And so we already expected this, but we always want to posture ourselves as people who know that it is wrong and that we feel it, that we know that what is happening in this moment is a sign of oppression and certainly an authoritarian government that is dangerous, and that if they could do this one thing, God only knows what will happen over the course of the next 3.5 years. And so, yes, disheartening. Now, I want to say this in case I get cut off, because I want people to know what is it that we do going forward. Number one, the consent decrees were not signed by the cities with ease. They did not get up and sign the consent decrees and say, yeah, absolutely. You know, we're excited about having federal oversight on our police department and what's happening in our city. In fact, the people of Louisville and also people in Minneapolis fought like hell to ensure that those agreements were signed and that the federal oversight would be something that they would also play a part in. And I can tell you that the folks in Louisville, Kentucky had to fight down to the last minute to ensure that their mayor agreed to what was in the consent decree. And that means that we have to ensure that the fight goes back to the local governments, to the local police departments, and on the ground level in local cities, that we know what's in the consent decree. We have the documents. We have to make sure that our activists, our organizers, our local elected officials, our local pastors and community leaders and communities are fighting to say that we still expect that you, as a leader in this city, follow what we have all found to be extreme issues within the department, where the civil rights and human rights of our citizens, and particularly Black citizens, are being violated. And if you are a mayor or you are an elected official who stands with our communities, you will still look at these documents and ensure that we follow some of the recommendations that is included. If that does not happen, we have to make sure that we either primary or ensure that we get rid of elected officials who are in position in these cities who do not follow the will of the people. That has got to be the next course of action. And in fact, as you've been saying, Roland, and we've been talking about since Donald Trump became president, the fight is local. We did not, while we may have lost a major battle on the federal level, we can still force this work to happen on the local level and in local communities.
Chief Davis, they are closing civil rights investigations in Memphis, Phoenix, Oklahoma City, Trenton, New Jersey, Mount Vernon, New York, also against Louisiana State Police. Louisiana State Police has been rife with corruption. The case of the Black man there who they said died in a car accident until the body cam video was released showed he was brutally beaten by cops to death.
Ronald Green.
We've had his mother on the show numerous times. And look, we know not all cops do this, but the reality is we know that on the state level, Tamika made that point, that you've had DAs and some state attorneys general who are afraid to prosecute cops because they work closely with them. So the DOJ in many ways was a backstop if they chose not to pursue. That happened in Kentucky with that coward Daniel Cameron when he was attorney general. But what this says here, Donald Trump is saying to the police, hey, don't worry about it. You can beat people. You can be racist. You can kill people. And if it goes to the federal level, I got your back. And I'm telling you right now, there's a we've been covering this case in Los Angeles where a former deputy sheriff brutally beat a Black woman who was videotaping an encounter at a supermarket. He was convicted by the jury. Trump's U.S. attorney comes in and wants to offer a post-trial, a post-verdict deal with him that would set him free. That's what we're dealing with. And so what is Noble's perspective on what we are now seeing with this Trump administration and Department of Justice?
Well, Brother Martin, you said it, and well as Ms. Tamika as well, hit on several of those points that we understand that the local level is where we have to put our efforts now. We understand that what's going on in D.C., what's going on in the White House, it is what it is at this point in time. And as you said at the beginning, we knew what was going to happen. And right now, we have to make sure that the people that are at the local levels, whether that the elected officials, the appointed officials, the people that live in these communities, have to hold everyone accountable for what's going on. I was actually involved with an organization with the company that was contracted to come in Louisiana and investigate the state police after Mr. Green's tragic murder. So I was involved in those things. And what we understand, and from a Noble perspective, we understand that our profession, law enforcement, we literally hold the power of life and death in our hands when we go to work every day. We can take people's freedom from them every day. And with that responsibility, with that comes a lot of responsibility. And if we can't be held accountable for having such great power and such great discretion, there's something wrong. And to try to have unchecked power, that is just a disaster. And that's what's been happening historically. That's what's been going on in these communities. And we have to make sure that we have proper leadership, elected, local, elected leadership. And that elected leadership puts people in place, leadership within police departments. Because, see, having consent decrees, that's the roadmap. And Ms. Tamika said it. Even though the federal government may have backed out on enforcing those, it's out there. The roadmap is out there. The instructions are out there, and the expectations are out there. So we can still hold our organizations, our police departments, our departments and our communities accountable for what's already been laid out. It doesn't require federal oversight. That was, and we heard that people they went unwillingly, but we can still proceed with those marching orders.
Dante, consent decrees are not perfect, but here's what we do understand. What we understand is that when the DOJ comes in and they do a patterns in practice investigation,
we're back. We're back here on the Real Talk TV. I see now my guest has arrived, brother Keith Walk. You there, brother Keith? I'm just not catching your audio. Let's see. All right, brother Keith, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay,
but kind of low.
On screen in a few. I'm glad to have you on, and you just got through listening to what's going on with Brother Roland Martin concerning the consent decrees that done away with this Justice Department by Trump. This is so blatantly wrong, and again, we want to say that what Trump is doing is crazy. You know, it's real crazy. Let's see if I can get Brother Keith back on. Let's see if I can get him. Okay. Bring him on right quick. We are hearing. All right, Brother Keith. Welcome. How you doing, my brother?
Good morning, Brother J. Yeah, it's a lot of things that's going on with the Trump administration that's
I'm definitely happening. Not hearing you. Let me check on my audio while you're on. Go ahead and talk, my brother, because they could hear you on the audience, but I'm not hearing you. I'm not hearing you.
With the Trump administration, the MAGA movement, they just the House passed a bill at the heat of the night. In the middle of the night, to
let me turn this off.
Where to bring in certain cuts. It's going to be major cuts to Medicaid, major cuts to programs that benefit the citizens. You know, the United States citizens, and mainly the disability community, the community that's disabled, mainly those communities. It's going to the cuts are going to hurt. You know, a lot of people gonna go without health care, major health care. They're gonna lose their major health care insurance because Medicaid, a lot of
I don't know why you're not coming in.
A lot of disabled individuals.
You go ahead and speak because I basically have to read your lips, my brother. But I'm hearing you. You're out on the output on TV, but you're not out where I can hear you.
Okay, a lot of disabled citizens they depend on Medicaid. They depend on Medicaid, and Medicaid is their major insurance. So but a lot of them is going to lose that coverage. They're going to lose that major insurance coverage. So they're going to lose a lot to for health care, and not just the health insurance are going to be affected, or the disabled people are going to be affected. Our hospitals gonna be affected. Um, you remember when Brother Jay, you remember, let's say in Lafayette University, when it was University Medical Center or the charity hospital, where you had to wait in line for maybe hours before you can see emergency doctor. Well, that's going to happen again with those cuts to healthcare. Then there's a big part of our community that has jobs that depend on state and federal government to as the source of income for that. They got the in-home care, they got the care at a facility, they got the rehabilitation care where people are hired in that job as a aide or a home health worker. A home health worker. There's a lot of home health companies that's going to be affected if the Senate passed this. If the Senate okay this bill the way the House passed it, if the Senate okay, it's gonna affect a lot. It's gonna affect a lot. A lot is gonna be affected. Um, in the healthcare world, a lot is gonna be affected. So we need to pay attention to what's going on. We need to pay attention to what's going on. We need to start calling our state and federal representatives, our state and federal representatives, and telling them that we want to keep the programs that are dire. We don't want cuts to these programs. And our local officials, we need to put our local officials on a stool or put them to a test. And we need our local officials. If you go if you gonna say you for all sides of the city state, or if you say you for all citizens equal, will will you come out and say you denounce or you don't agree with the Make America Great agenda? Because the Make America Great agenda is not equal for everybody. The Make America Great agenda is it supports the rich and wealthy. It supports the president. It supports the United States president, lining his pockets and his family pockets.
Brother Keith, I want to
The
ask you
Make
about this
America
right
Great
here.
Again
You still got it?
agenda. Um, are you going to denounce that agenda? You know, the mayor president of Lafayette Parish. We need to put her to a test. Are you gonna denounce that agenda? Are you gonna say you don't agree with that agenda?
Well, Brother Keith, I want to bring this picture. You see this picture on the screen right now?
Brother Jay, I can't hear you.
Okay, you see this picture right here on screen? You see this picture right here on screen? How's this? Can you hear me now?
No. Oh yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Check out this picture right here. This picture on screen is the young man. Okay, getting a lot of feedback. This young man right here, Brother Keith.
Okay.
That's the young man is Jaquan Green, who was who basically said he was accosted by the Lafayette City Police. I don't know he was informed that he was being investigated or he was being arrested or he was being detained, and he wound up where they had some type of physical altercation that led for him to be injured, according to his attorney. You know any more about the backstory concerning Lafayette PD?
Brother Jay, from what I heard, or from from what I heard about it, the guy, the guys was um downtown celebrate his birthday, him and his friends, and the
So you're
cops
looking for the
told them
story, you say?
to move on, and they was walking,
Well,
and
Lafayette PD seems to be having a lot of problems, Brother Keith.
uh-huh, yeah, it's they was told to move on, and instead of move on, it's instead of they was allowed to move on, the cop grabbed him and body slammed him, and I think kicked him a few times, and put him in a hospital. Broke I think they broke his hip, a leg, and that's the details I know. I don't know the full details, but it's not the first time, and it's not gonna be the last. That's why I say in these agendas that it is another part of this Make America Great agenda. Where these officers are getting qualified immunity for police brutality or police misconduct. Some they kill they kill a citizen or they hurt a citizen. They the officer itself will not be punished. A family can file a suit against the police department and the police department, but we're paying for it. Our citizens' tax dollars have to pay for that lawsuit. Our tax dollars have to pay for that lawsuit, and that officer is going unpunished because of qualified immunity. That's why I say we need to call our local, federal, and state representatives and tell them we don't we don't support the Make America Great agenda. Um, we want better and we need better. We want better, we need better. It's not the first time Lafayette Police Department has done this.
It's hard to see myself buying dresses like this with the minimum wage you're giving me. Not that I'm ungrateful for the job. Minimum plus commission. You get what you work for.
Brother J.
Opportunity right in front of you, and you get to decide what you're going to do with it. Sometimes, yeah.
Brother J.
Yes, sir. Pete, can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, your echo is bad?
No, it's not echoing, it's just low.
Okay. All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right, Brother Keith. All right. Yes, yes, go ahead now. Go ahead, what you were saying about that.
Now that's addressed.
Yeah, I was saying that the police department
yeah, you were saying
the police department, this is not the first time they did it, and it's not gonna be the last because of qualified immunity. They they're pushing that qualified immunity where a family can sue an officer, but that the police department, my bad, police department, and that money is coming from tax dollars. The taxpayers are paying for that. Uh, when a when a when an officer do something wrong, they go unpunished because of qualified immunity. Uh, the Ronald Green, really, I'm gonna say this: the Ronald Green case, especially in the state of Louisiana, especially the state troopers. The Ronald Green case gave them the notion that, oh man, they ain't gonna do us nothing. we can do it again, and we can do it again. And a case in one area of the country or the state is a high profile, so it'll happen all over the country. Officers are looking at that all over the country, and if they see that the Louisiana State Police got away with it, they say, well, we can get away with it.
Yeah.
So it opened the book for every area. It opened it up for every area, every area. And a black man, and I'm gonna say black man, African American man. So they say, in the United States, has to think before he make a stop. You put the lights, they put the lights on him. He gonna think. Minute he see officer, he gonna think in the back of his mind, should I should I comply or should I keep going? Should I stop or should I keep going? Cause you don't know what's on that officer's mind after he put his lights on.
Thanks for dinner.
So it's all part of the Make America Great Again movement. It's all part of that Make America Great Again movement where these things are happening and these officials are comfortable with it. Comfortable with it. I mean, since years we've been calling for a citizen review board with subpoena power over the police departments here in Lafayette. What look like it needs to be placed in Louisiana. Period. Louisiana. Period. All departments, even the state troopers.
So, what would you like to drink? I have a full bar and a pretty expensive wine. I'll have whatever you're having. So, how does Jersey compare to Los Angeles? Sexier than here. Find that hard to believe. All those actors in Muscle Beach. Sure, if you find pretension sexy. Everyone's so fake. Hide behind the persona. Yeah, but don't you find that everywhere? You told me. Do I find it here? Touche. So why consulting? Why not take over family business? I'm not interested in answering to my parents. I needed to make my own way.
Go ahead, Brother Keith.
What about you? All this wealth.
And Brother J.
Yours are inherited. I'm a bit of both. And you make this
Brother J.
I actually own a hospitality group. And we operate several nightclubs, restaurants. That's how you've seen every designer dress ever made. You talk a lot about money. I find people who talk a lot about it usually don't have it.
Brother J.
Floyd. Well, money is one of my best friends, and I enjoy talking about my friends. This one is striking. It's a bit forlorn. Speaking of money, that costs more than my car. It's called Star-Crossed Lovers. And she's an emerging artist. I've always hated Romeo and Juliet. Not romantic. There's nothing romantic about two kids thinking they're in love and then killing themselves over it. Oh, so an expert on romance, aren't you? Hardly. But I know a thing or two about farts. All we have to do is tell each other they're playing dead.
I guess we having some technical difficulties.
You know what's on the line right now?
Who?
Certainly not nothing I have on.
What's wrong?
Brother Keith, are you playing some in the background or something?
No, I'm not playing anything. But let me make sure.
I didn't come for money.
Okay. Brother Keith, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm still here.
I'm getting something in the line that's not supposed to be there.
Okay, hold on. I'm making sure.
So can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Brother Keith, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I'm here.
I'm not even getting it. I don't even.
You're not hearing me?
All right. Now.
I'm here.
You got me now?
You can hear me?
To making your own way and getting to the top. And doing it by your own hard work.
So go ahead, brother.
We good?
Go on what you were saying.
Huh?
I really.
What's wrong?
I'm really not getting whatever that's on the line. That's nothing I got on in my input.
Let's try it again.
It's like you're frozen now. Well, we go. Sometimes they do that. You never know. I'm not big on conspiracy theory, but some weird stuff happens all the time. Let me play this clip till I get Brother Keith back on the line. Certainly, there's a lot going on.
Slavery and civil rights exhibits removed from the Blacksonian. Here's the info from NBC News.
Decades-old artifacts related to slavery and civil rights are rotating out of exhibits at the museum as a potential White House review looms large. In late March, President Trump signed an executive order demanding, in part, the museum take down any exhibits that, quote, divide Americans based on race. But now the White House says that it's washing its hands of any involvement in changes at the museum. NBC News went inside the museum and found at least 32 artifacts currently removed, including Harriet Tubman's Book of Hymns. Gospels believed to have been sung as she led enslaved people to freedom through the Underground Railroad. And the narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass, the memoir of one of the most important leaders in the abolitionist movement. Both items gifted to the Smithsonian. The institution pushing back on critics, saying on their website, quote, claims that objects have been removed for reasons other than adherence to standard loan agreements or museum practices are false.
So damn sad. Put it up full mass. They are not removing artifacts. They are removing historical context and information. Keep that picture up. The same individuals who have engaged in this crusade to remove historical artifacts of strong Black leaders who were able to properly contextualize the moment of their era and lead individuals to a more progressive era. They're being removed, but these same individuals removing them would argue that a city government does not have the right to remove a racist-ass Confederate monument. They don't believe that divides the nation. They would tell you that's history and the government should fund it. But when it comes to Black leaders who stood for morality and justice, and let's be honest, the morality of Black folk have made this country what it is, the superpower that it became, and the potential that still rests inside of it. Without the morality of Black folk, what would America be? You probably don't even want to think about that. Without the movement of King and others, what would this country be? According to News One, Miss President Trump's flurry of executive orders targeting civil rights and Black history, Concerns are growing over exhibits being rotated out of the Smithsonian's National Museum of African American History and Culture. According to NBC News, certain artifacts and exhibits detailing the history of slavery and the civil rights movement are being rotated out amid a potential review by the White House. In March, President Trump signed the, quote, Restoring Truth and Sanity to American History executive order that, among many other things, requires museums to remove exhibits that showcase, quote, improper ideology. Now, I want you to know he's keeping these terms very loose, very subjective intentionally. He did the same thing with the Republican National Committee. When he hijacked it, the first thing they did was they rooted out all of the definites, all of the exacting language, and replaced it with very loose, subjective, interpretive clauses. Why? Because he doesn't want to be bound to very specific anything, nothing. He wants to operate in this area. NBC News went inside the museum and found at least 32 artifacts. Now, that's at least 32 artifacts that were once on display have now been removed. They include Harriet Tubman's Book of Hymns, filled with gospels that she is believed to have sung as she led enslaved people to freedom through the Underground Railroad, as well as a cloth made by enslaved people and a photo of the hip-hop group Public Enemy. Also removed was the, quote, narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass, the memoir by one of the most important leaders in the abolition movement. Both items were gifted to the Smithsonian. Both the White House and the National Museum of African American History and Culture pushed back against the idea that these removals were a result of the executive order. White House spokesperson issued a statement saying, quote, the White House had no involvement in removing any exhibit from the National Museum of African American History and Culture or any other Smithsonian institution. They did this on their own accord, end quote. Though when one considers that the former director of the museum left as a result of the executive order, and that both Chief Justice John Roberts and Vice President J.D. Vance sit on the damn Smithsonian board, it doesn't entirely pass muster, does it?
All right, Brother Keith, are you back? Brother Keith?
Yeah.
All right. I want to say before we get off here.
I can't hear you.
2 minutes left, and I want to get your take on that. They're removing all the black relics out of that museum and other places. In other words, canceling blackness. The question is, Brother Keith, for you, will they cancel Juneteenth?
Uh-huh.
Will they cancel Juneteenth for black folks in Lafayette?
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
Have you thought about life insurance to put it off? Don't regret what you didn't do yesterday. Call now and feel great about saying yes
That was better.
Will the mayor president be there too?
They got a noise.
I can't hear you, my brother. So I'm having to go back and pull it for me. I can't hear you. We certainly run into a lot of technical issues on this show today. At the end, it was working fine, but who knows what? And even the audio coming in, people, I don't even know where the audio came in because I have several broadcast computers hooked
Yeah, I'm still here, brother G.
Yeah, I'm hearing you. You're on the television. Your audio is going out the TV, but it's not coming into my mix. I really don't know what that's about.
Yeah, I just can't hear you too good. But yeah, man, the monuments,
I even tried on this headset to hear you. So I know there's some things going on that I don't even understand. But we could go back to the drawing board on that.
Okay, you can hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, the um the monuments, they want to remove civil rights, things, things that bring up what they did to human beings in the past, things that the white supremacists did to human beings in the past. They want to remove it. Really, they trying to remove the past. Really, they want to remove the past. They want to remove the past altogether. They want to remove they want to remove civil rights altogether, which they done took civil rights and start calling it they start calling it what's the term I'm looking for? Critical race theory. They didn't start calling it critical race theory. Um, Civil rights. They didn't start calling that civil race theory. It's critical race theory. The things that happened in the past, but it's true. It happened. It happened, and people need to know about it. People need to know about it.
Also, Brother Keith, I was just looking at an article in CNN where Marco Rubio in the State Department just ordered all employees or people who are working within the State Department to not use the words that give reference to white supremacy situations. And this is how crazy that is. You know, they're trying to go past the point of denying Black history to the point of denying there's white supremacy, and you can be subject to being sanctioned if you use those words as in being employed by the United States government. So, Brother Keith, it's 11:26, and I want to close out with this, man. And I'm sorry we had a short notice, but we're gonna make it work next time. In 2 weeks, we'll be here right back here on Real Talk TV.
Yeah, so you gonna shut it down?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, Brother Keith. We'll be on the open line tomorrow on 88.3.
Yeah, don't forget the open line tomorrow from 9 to 12.
9 to 11.
The open line 9 to 11:30. Good information, but one thing I want to say: call your local, federal, and state officials and tell them you don't want the cuts. You don't agree with the cuts. Tell them that they need to revitalize that budget package. Rewrite that budget package. It's not good. It's not good, and it's not good. It's not good just for one side. It's not good for all. It's not good for all. It's a lot of things that's going to get affected with that Trump administration budget cut. And here in Louisiana, the governor is doing the same thing. Jeff Landry, he's doing the same thing, coming in with those budget cuts. That's not good for the state, and it's not good for the country as a whole.
All right, Brother Keith. We'll see you down the road.
Sign off, Brother Chick.